All right, so I've got the plan done, and I've got the two phases created. And so step 10 is in the level 1 new plan, so I've got it open here. Add a wall opening from the architecture tab and see what happens. So I'm going to go to the architecture tab. Here's the wall opening tool. So here is an existing wall, and now I'm putting an opening in the new phase. So I'm putting a new opening in an existing wall. So here's wall opening, click on the wall, and now you just draw your opening. So there it is. So this wall opening right here has been added in my existing wall. You're like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to omit a bit of the wall here in the current. What happens when I go back to the past? Well, what the heck? We have a wall opening that creates a wormhole that takes you back in time. All right, now that's not going to fly. So I'm going to select this thing and I'm going to delete it. So this is I think a serious problem with the opening object. If you need to put an opening in an existing wall in a later phase, don't do it with the opening tool. In the session 2 folder, I provided you with a family. It's called rectangular opening instance. So I'll just drop that into my project here. And so once that's in your project, you can use the component tool to place it. And there it is there, and this allows you to specify the width and height of the opening. So here in my new plan, I can put in this opening, and there it is. And if I go back into the past, fortunately the whole wall is still there. Now you can kind of still see where it's going to be placed, so that's its location in the future, where I've got my cursor. But at least you're not going to have an opening through time. Now what's happening here? And you can see it's with the door as well. So you can think of the opening as being like a door without the swing and the leaf. So what you're seeing here is that rather than saying, hey, we need to demolish this bit of wall to facilitate the addition of this opening. We need to demolish this bit of wall to facilitate the insertion of this door. That's why we're seeing this little bit of demolished wall in here, and that's because we are using the show all phase filter. So if you want to show somebody, you know, the final product, switch to phase filter to show complete. Now, what if you want to show, you still want to show what's existing, you just kind of want to get rid of all the demolished stuff. You want to show what's an existing wall, what's new. Well, we need to go and find a phase filter that shows that. So let's go and look at our Manage tab, and in the Phases dialog. And under Phase Filters, what we're looking for is where new is by category, existing is overridden, and demolished is not displayed. So let's see here. Show demo and new, nope. So I want by category, overridden, not displayed. So this is looking good. New, overridden, not displayed, perfect. Show previous and new. So if I use that phase filter now, my plans are going to show previous phase, gray, new stuff, black, demolished, gone. So I go into my phase filters here, and I choose show previous and new. There we go. And sure enough, you can see here, gray existing, black new. So suffice it to say that if you are going to be putting openings in your walls in a phased environment, do not use the opening tool. Use that rectangular opening family. Just take it home with you, and you can use that in your projects in the future. Now we're going to skip the graded region exercise on page 7. We've kind of done that already. For those of you who haven't taken the intro course, there's some stuff about groups in here and when you should use groups what they're meant for. So on page 8, this is just a little bit of a refresher. Most of you would have been taught how to use groups in the intro course. So we will, I'm going to move on and get into the good stuff tonight. I'm going to move straight on to page 14. We're going to talk about design options. Now, if you thought phasing was well set up, wait until you see design options. This is an absolute masterpiece in terms of interface design and also good software design. I think it's a really well thought out bit of work. Now what we want to do is create 2 office layouts in this space. Now in AutoCAD we might do it with layers. We might do a save as. There's lots of different ways that we can handle it. So what Revit is going to do is it's going to allow us to draw different walls and other objects in the same place. And we'll be able to toggle which set of walls and furniture that we want on. These are design options. So there's a few basic concepts that we need to grasp. Let's look at the top of page 14. So with your design options, and you can find that on the Manage tab here. So here's design options. You have option sets, and then you have 2 or more options in each set. So the idea with an option set is that you are looking at design ideas for a specific part of the building. So it could be the layout of these offices, it could be the way you're doing the roof, it could be some different ideas for how you'll lay out your kitchen. So if you're looking on the screenshot on page 14, this is a screenshot from a set of design options I did clearly for a residence of some kind. So there's 3 different option sets there. There's one that's called floor plan options, one that's called kitchen layout, and one that's called upstairs options. So in a specific part of a building, you create an option set so you can show the different competing design directions that you have for that part of the building. So first of all, create the option set and then create the options within it. So let's do this for our offices here. So first of all, we create the option set. So we hit New. So we're on the Manage tab. The Design Options button's right in the middle there. I'm going to add a new option set. So the newly created option set is just called Option Set 1. So what you need to do after you've created the new option set is immediately go and click on the title of it. And now you can rename it. So we are going to call this TI Layout Options. TI Layout Options. So that's the name of the set. There we go. Now, in this option set, you will have 2 or more options that you are sort of weighing out with your client, or maybe just internally within your practice, to see which one is going to win the day. So we've got our one option created there. So we've created the option set and then renamed it. Now you need to click on your first option here and decide if you want to rename it to. So we are going to rename it, and we are going to call it Offices at Side. So here where it says option 1, go down to the option buttons down here and choose rename, and we're going to call it Offices at Side. Offices at Side. Now we're going to make one more option within our layout options set, and we'll hit New and immediately go and click on it. And this next option that we've created, we're going to rename it and call it Offices at Back. Now, regardless of how many options you have in the set, one of them is going to be your kind of your preferred option. It's called primary. That is the option that you will see, the plan option that you will see by default. Now you can look at the other ones, you can kind of turn them on whenever you want, but by and large, Revit will show whichever one you choose to be primary. Now I can click on one of these other options here in the Design Options dialog box and make it primary. So here you can see I can click it, and I can make it primary. So when you make an option primary, then that one gets to be the one that is shown by default. So you might have 3 different copies of how you're going to, or 3 different layouts for your kitchen, or 3 different layouts for your tenants, your retail space. And they can all be drawn one on top of the other. With these option sets, Revit prevents the geometries in each one of these options from interacting with one of the other options. So each of these options inside the set can interact with the rest of the building, but they are kept separate from each other. So you're going to have walls joining to other walls from these options. It's cool, and you'll see how this is going to work now. Okay, so we've got our 2 options created. Now we hit close. So here's what happens now. At the bottom of the screen, you've got a flyout that when you click it, you can switch from working on the main model to working on one of the options in one of the sets. Now, you have to look carefully here. Each option set is labeled in gray. You can choose one of the options that you created in that set underneath it. So if we had an option for a kitchen, it would show below this in gray, and then the options that we've made for our kitchen option set would list below that in black. So I can't pick the gray thing. I can't pick the title of my option set. I have to pick one of the options that I now want to work on. Now there's 2 ways that you can get into sort of creating these option sets. If you're starting it in the mode that we've done right now, we can switch to one of them, Offices at Side, and you'll know that the rest of the model, you'll see that the rest of the model goes gray. With this option set current, we can go up and grab our wall tools and such, and we can draw some walls in this set. Sorry, in this option. Now, this isn't necessarily what we're supposed to be doing, but I just want to illustrate. So I've drawn a few walls here inside this particular option. So Offices at Side is part of the option set, which you can see here, TI layout options. Now watch what happens when we switch to the other option. So this one was called Offices at Side. Now I'm going to switch to Offices at Back. Those other ones disappear. So now I can draw my other plan idea here. And now I can just switch between them. And they do not interact. So it's kind of like turning layers on and off in a GIF. So this is geometry that's inside an option, and then there's the rest of the building which is not in an option. It's called the main model. So on my flyout at the bottom, if I switch to the main model, I can now make modifications to the building, but my options are kind of locked. You don't get to work on them. So here you can see I can select these walls and make modifications, but stuff in my option, by default it's made inaccessible, but you can click the box down here, exclude options, and then you can select it and start working on it if you want to. But what Revit is trying to discourage you, Revit is trying to discourage you from working on an option unless you specifically pick it out of the flyout menu. So I can uncheck this box. And now, yes, I can select the stuff that's in one of my option sets. But really, Revit is saying, don't do that. Go and pick it out of the menu and make the changes that you want. Now, what we did is we created new geometry by picking one of these options. There's a way that you can copy information from the main model, and you can copy it to both of your design options so you can play with them. So what I'm saying is, if I'm in the main model, if I want to grab this wall and this door and I want to copy it to both of those option sets, here's what I can do. I can select the wall and the door here, and you'll notice now at the bottom here there's this little icon. So the idea is that this geometry, if I click on this icon, I can copy these geometries into both of those options, so I can play with them. By default, Revit says, hey, if you're going to add it to this option set, I'll add it to both of these options. So now if I hit OK, when I go to work on my options now, this door and this wall are in them. But there's two copies. So now there's two doors and two walls. One in one of the options and one in the other. So see, that wall and this door have been copied from the main model into this option. So here, watch what happens. I'm going to move the door. Just going to grab the door and move it. So when I switch to the other option, there's the other door. So they're actually two separate walls and two separate doors. So that, which I just did moments ago, is copying elements from the main model, copying them into an option. Now that might be a little bit hard to wrap your head around, but really what you're doing is just, you're copying geometry that you had into these different options so that you can make modifications to them independently. Now as soon as you've enabled these design options, so you can switch between them in your view, what if you want to be able to print them at any given moment? So you want to have a second set of floor plans that shows the other floor plan. You don't want it to go through this flyout menu every time you want to print. Now recall that with each option set that you create, one of them is primary. So again, I'm going to go down to the little Manage Design Options. So in every option set, one of them is primary. So if you don't change anything, this particular option and this particular set is what you're going to see when you print. Yep.
When you move the existing wall and door to the option, now I'm getting back to the main floor, main layout.
Main model, yeah.
And I'm not being able to select it again.
No, that's right, because it's part of an option set. So you either have to switch to that option set using the flyout, or you have to uncheck exclude options. Right? Yes?
What happens if you have two option sets that overlap each other in different set of options? Let's say we do an kitchen and they're going back and forth. How do geometries react?
There's a simple fix for that.
Put it in one.
No, don't do that. Like really, it's unlikely that you would have two option sets in the same geographic area. So the question is, what if I'm optioning some stuff here and I'm optioning some stuff there and their geometries collide? Right? So if you had overlapping geometries, that in however many years of Revit, never seen that happen, never seen anybody say that that's a problem. And I think the reason is that they would coordinate that internally so that wouldn't happen. So yes, it's possible, but I haven't yet seen that as being a problem with any firm that I've been in. Because typically your option sets don't necessarily have overlapping scopes. But yes, it definitely could happen. Now, as soon as you enable design options on your project, you get a new tab on your visibility dialog. Design options. So for each option set that you have created in the project, and we've only created one so far, so for all the different option sets you've created, and I've seen ones where you've had like 8 or 10 of them. Talk about a double-minded set of designers who can't decide anything. Got all these design options floating around. So within each option set, in this view, you can choose which option gets displayed. Now, it says automatic. Primary option gets shown, right? That's the idea. So when it says automatic, whatever option set is shown here. Automatic means the primary option of this set gets displayed. If you want to show one of the other design options, choose it. So instead of showing the offices at back as primary, I'm going to get to show the offices at side. Or no, that is primary. So I'm going to say offices at back. So when I hit OK, there. So what I would do is I'd make a copy of my floor plan, one that's showing one option, and one that's showing the other. So now I've got two different floor plans that are showing the different options. So that means you can put them on the sheets or not, but they're ready to go to print when the client shows up. So during the life of an option set, you'll put doors and windows and whatever you need to do to make the changes, show it to your client, decide amongst yourselves what you are going to do. Then you will have different views that are named so that you can, you know what this this view is for. Offices at back. And I'll rename this one. And so in this view, I have gone to the visibility dialog box, and in the design options here, I've configured this view to show the primary option, or I can force it to show the offices at side. And I forced this view to show offices at the back. So if you happen to have in a given option set, if you had 3 different options in the set, then you may want to create 3 different plans. So if you want to have all 3 of them ready to go at a moment's notice, duplicate the view, set that particular design option current, and away you go. So when you are working away, you either choose to work on the main model, or you set one of the options current. Now, just one little wrinkle here. If in my visibility, I force the view to look at one of the options in the set, I cannot toggle between them here. Doesn't show it. Right? Remember how before it would show it? And the reason is, in this view, I've forced this particular option to be shown. Now, if I chose automatic, now the view can follow along with the option that you choose at the bottom. So here with this option set to automatic, now I can switch between them at the bottom. So what I should have done here, offices at side is my primary option, right? So this view I've labeled to be offices at back, so probably it would make sense if I go into the visibility, if I make my design option match. It's not the primary option. But maybe, just maybe, what I should do with my offices at side here, what I've done, even though this is the primary option, I'm forcing it to look at that primary option, which means that in this view, I can't switch between them to work on them. So that's probably not a good idea. So in the view that is showing your primary option, don't force it to look at the primary option, set it to automatic. That way you can toggle between them on the fly. So there's your main model. There's your primary option. There's your second option. So that's just kind of these little nuances with your view settings once you've got design options created. Now sometimes you might have several design options going at once, and you're looking at here and you're like, I want to work on this option set, but out of the 12 of them that are in this flyout menu, you're not sure which is which. That can happen. You can have a whole bunch of design options and you're like, I want to work on this. So what you can do is you can choose Pick to Edit up right by where the Design Options button is. Choose Pick to Edit. And when you click on that object, boom, it switches to that design option. It's a real handy way to work. So that is in the notes. Now at some point, there's a very good chance that you will decide which one of these design options is going to win the day. Now, if the offices at back turns out to be the preferred direction for the design, you would make it primary. Now, if that really is going to be the plan that the client has chosen, after you've made it primary, you can choose Accept Primary, and that's the end of this design option. It goes away. The primary option in this set gets moved to the main model. The geometry in the other option gets deleted. You don't need it anymore. So once you've made a particular option primary, once you hit Accept Primary, you're deleting geometry, and you may end up deleting views. Because once this design option has been made obsolete, you've got views over here that you're asking to look at those design options, which of course you no longer need. And now, as you can see, there are no design options present. So that's kind of the life of an option set in Revit. So, on page 17, we have the process here where you are going to work on your different option sets here. So draw that up go through the process there and create the option sets and then switch between them. So we're going to be working on that here for the rest of the night. Once this is done, copy it into your Sharon folder. Okay? So that exercise is on page 17. So you're going to carry forward the quick Zen phasing exercise that you did and now work on this design options exercise.